Hi everyone, welcome back to the next diecast. In today's video, I'll be showing you and reviewing this 1/18 scale 1970 Ford Mustang Mach 1 made by Maisto. This is actually a new release for Maisto for 2022. I got this model from Sam's Club for $16.98 in total, which I thought was a great deal. You can find this model elsewhere online for probably between $30 and $45. This model just recently came out, so it's not quite widespread on the internet yet in terms of buying one. I think there are a fair bit of eBay listings for it, but in terms of Amazon and diecast model wholesale and whatnot, I'm not quite sure if they have listings for this model as of yet, but I'm sure they will once we get towards the end of 2022. But you can find this model currently in 3 different colors. It comes in this awesome light blue that you see here, which was actually called Grabber Blue on the real Mach 1. It also comes in a bright yellow, which is exclusive to Sam's Club. And it comes in an orange, which is actually the Twister Orange Special Edition. It has kind of similar tampos and stuff you see on this blue version, but there is kind of a Twister, I guess, inscription and badge back here. It says the Twister Orange, I'm special, or something like that, which was a real special edition that Ford did offer for the Mach 1. So the Mach 1 is considered part of the first gen Mustang, even though this does kind of look very different from the original Mustang that came out in 1964. The first generation of the Mustang was considered to be from 1964 until 1973. And the Mach 1 was actually brand new for 1970. And there is a current Mach 1 being offered with the current Mustang as of 2022. I believe it should be in production until 2024 or thereabouts. And they have introduced a few of the colors that you saw on this one back again. For example, you can get the new Mach 1 in the same color scheme that you see here on this 1970 Mach 1. So just kind of some cool trivia there. But I think Maisto as a whole did a great job with this model, and it is cool to see that they have released another model of a classic car for their 1/18 scale line. So we'll go ahead and get into the details of this model here. We'll start up here at the front. I think Maisto really did an excellent job with just the overall shape of the car and, just the finer exterior details and everything. I think it is great to see all that. And I think for a $30 to $45 model, and especially if you can get it for, $16 for the wholesale club price, it is just an excellent deal in that sense. But in the front here, you will see that Maisto does an excellent job with these headlights here. They're round just like you would see on the real Mach 1. You have kind of a nice texture going on with these lenses here. And yeah, there is a peg in each one, but I think that's pretty much where the bulb would be if they were the real lights. You do have this nice grille here too. It's not fully perforated, but I think it's, textured enough to kind of look like it is. And you have these two. I'm not sure if these are lights or just chrome features, but the real Mach 1 does have them. And Maisto puts these on here as separately cast plastic pieces, which is great to see. Nice chrome bumper down here, which is awesome. And then you have this kind of lower lip down here too. And you have this Ford license plate, which is pretty much hidden, unless you look at it like down here like that. But very cool touch. Paint quality on the model, fantastic. Maisto really has done an awesome job with their paint jobs on their recent models, and this is certainly no exception to that, for sure. The Grabber Blue looks fantastic, and if you get Maisto's 2020 Ford Mustang Shelby in the same color as this, they'll look great together. I'll definitely be taking some pictures on Instagram later of kind of this one side by side with the 2020 version, but just, very, very cool. The paint's nice and smooth throughout. The light blue looks fantastic. It looks just like the real blue that you would have seen on the real 1970 Mach 1. And then you do have these kind of lower matte finish gray striping details going on, along with this kind of silver band going across the whole length of the car. You have the Mustang and the Mach 1 inscriptions on here in kind of 2 different fonts. They are very well done. They're not, 3-dimensional, separately cast pieces or anything, of course, but I think the application that Maisto uses for these paint details is fantastic. And then you have the molded in door handle on here. These side marker lights or the turn signals are just painted on, but Maisto usually does that, unfortunately. At least they're the, I guess, accurate shape and everything. Would have been kind of nice to see them as separately cast plastic pieces, but you can't ask for too much, I suppose, with a budget model. Up here, nice detail with the striping and the 428 on the hood, and then you have these 2 kind of silver details on there as well. Then you have the Cobra Jet kind of engine block poking out there with these kind of nice silver stripes, almost like they're metal, the way that they're painted, but they're actually just integrated into this piece here. Yeah, there are some openings in the front here, but they're not fully opened, I guess. They are at least partially perforated, which is a cool touch. Then, of course, you got some nice silver trim surrounding the side windows and the windshield. Back here, you do have a separately cast spoiler and this kind of separately cast louvered rear window. And a cool thing that Maisto did is that they actually do put the clear window glass underneath this. They could have just skipped out on that because it is pretty much impossible to see the rear window glass unless you look at it from this angle here. But if you look at the interior, you will, I mean, you can't see it from this angle, but Maisto did actually put in the rear window glass underneath this kind of louver, which is a very cool touch. And the vented window, I think, looks awesome. Gives it a much more, I think, aggressive look, especially from a far distance. But this is actually a separately cast plastic piece, which is very cool to see. Then you have this kind of matte finished plastic rear spoiler back here too, which is a very cool touch. And it looks just like you would see on the real Mach 1. And then speaking of the real Mach 1, you do have the Mach 1 inscription on the trunk as well. And this kind of nice black stripe going all the way across the length of that piece. And back here, you do have a nice texture between the two taillights, which are also very well done. You actually don't see pegs back here with these taillights, which is awesome to see. The exhaust could use some more detailing. They're just kind of all chromed out, but Maisto usually does that with their exhausts anyway, so I don't think that's a big deal. And of course, you do have full suspension on the model and full steering as well. And the wheels and tires are also very well done. Maisto nailed the overall shape and look of these. And I'm glad to see that they're going back to using branded tires on their models. You have these kind of Firestone wide O oval tires on here. And I think the white creates a nice kind of accent with any color that you get for the model. The one wheel does kind of bow out a slight bit. Well, of course, you're not going to see it now because I'm talking about it. But I don't think that's really a big deal. It's probably just like a minor factory defect. And of course, the model does roll nice and smoothly as well. And the steering could be a bit better, but at least Maisto has steering. Some manufacturers opt out of putting steering and suspension on their models, but Maisto always does. Or they always include those features, which is awesome to say. In terms of opening features, you do have an opening rear trunk, which opens up like so. Not really anything at all to see back here. You do have kind of a rougher texture to simulate carpeting, I suppose. And there is some light detailing underneath the trunk lid itself, which is nice to see. And the dog leg hinges are kind of well hidden, unless you look at it from like this angle. If you look at it from here, you can't really see them all that much. But I think they did a good job of the overall shape and stuff in here. And I kind of like how they put these hinges sort of on top. For a lot of Maisto's trunk pieces, you'll have the kind of giant holes for the hinges to go into, but on here they kind of constructed differently, so the hinges go above the trunk piece. So you really, yeah, that's entirely kind of filled in there with a plastic. There isn't a big gap or anything, so kind of a cool little touch there. Nice to see they're kind of getting some more details into their trunks, even though you don't really look in there all that much. And of course, you do have the opening hood on the model, very important for a muscle car model like this one. And overall, I think the engine is very well detailed. You have the Cobra jet in here, which was standard for the Mach 1. Nice detailing with this blue on here. Would have been cool if the blue matched more with the blue paint on here, but I think all the Mach 1s had this kind of blue main block in the center here, in kind of that same color. But speaking of the main block, you do have several different plastic components in here. They are all kind of three-dimensionally cast, which is cool to see. And you do kind of see some depth down back here and everything. The front part of the engine is definitely not as well detailed. There are definitely some components here that should have some more paint detail on them and everything. Like this would not be all black on the real Mach 1. There's definitely some, I think, silver in this corner here and stuff. But I think what Maisto has there is just fine overall. You kind of see that fan up in the front there too. It might be a radiator too, but I can't really see it. But you do have some kind of pulleys and wires detailed down there. Definitely not one of Maisto's best engines, but definitely not one of their worst either. It looks very well done. I definitely wouldn't mind putting this up on the shelf with the hood up like that, because Maisto, I think, does a good job with the engine for a budget price model, which is always awesome to see. And something worth mentioning is that this is actually a separately cast chrome piece, this kind of lip you see on the front of the hood. And even though it's a very, like when you have the hood closed, it's a very small kind of subtle touch. It's very thin. Maisto could have very well cheaped out and just painted the front of the hood silver, but they actually put in this kind of bigger, separately cast chrome piece. I think that's an awesome kind of extra little detail in there. And again, the silver would have been passable, but I think they kind of went the extra mile of putting in that little chrome detail in there, which is very cool to see. And it does kind of line up with the chrome surrounding the lights too. So I guess it would look kind of weird if they had painted this silver, but the fact that they have it as a separately cast chrome piece is just fantastic. And there's the hole there for the hood too. Oh, and speaking of chrome, there is chrome wipers on here. I don't know if these are necessarily accurate to the real car or not, but at least they're the right shape and size and everything. And these side mirrors are actually very sturdy. Some of Maisto's mirrors are not the best in terms of, well, they're usually the good in terms of the overall shape and just look, but in terms of durability, they're not always the best. But on here, they're very sturdy, which is nice to see. And of course, you do have the opening doors on the model as well, which open up on these spring-loaded hinges. Decent detailing on the door panels, not a whole lot to say. As you would see on the real Mach 1, you have the window winder down here. Almost looks like you can actually work it on here, but of course you can't. And kind of a nice, I guess, leather pattern going across the length of this door panel as well. I don't know if they would necessarily be all black. I'm sure the door handles would be silver maybe. I'm not really too sure on that, but there's kind of a better look here. And you have a functional door pocket down there too. Very cool touch. And of course, I would say it's a decently detailed interior for the most part. There's definitely some missing components and colors on the dashboard and the center stack, but the overall shape and everything I think looks well done. And with the steering wheel and gauge cluster too. They're both very well done. You have the right shape going on, and that is actually a painted on Mustang badge in the center there. Kind of a loose, clicky steering wheel, but that's not a big deal. That's probably just a factory defect. Nice job with the shifter here too, which is actually a separately cast plastic piece, and the pedals are also well done. I may go ahead and make the pedals silver to kind of add some just more detail in here. You do have kind of the vents and the buttons going on in the center here. They're not necessarily colored in, but at least they are the right shape and, you know, just size, I guess, too. There's like kind of like a radio knob right there. And then you have some other, you know, buttons and other details going on there too. Kind of hard to see the way that it's kind of sloped downward, and they kind of stick out in sort of two different sections. So you can only really see them unless you're looking at it. Or like you can't really see them unless you're looking at it from this angle here. And then on the dashboard, you do have separately, I guess, cast gauges. What's kind of cool about these gauges and the gauge clusters is that they aren't stickers, but Maisto actually kind of etched in the details like into the plastic. So it's gonna be very hard to see, but they're not stickers. So they are readable, but they're kind of blended into the background because they're done as kind of etched in plastic. So kind of a cool approach, I guess, but I would have actually preferred maybe seeing stickers with more, I guess, visible detail. But it is kind of cool that Maisto did that for the gauges. They're just really impossible to see paired up with the black interior, but when you look at it from that angle I showed you in the light, you can kind of see it. If you know what I mean, it's kind of hard to explain and to show, but different approach to putting in gauges in their models, I suppose. And I guess it works, but the stickers would have, I guess, shown some more visible like detailing and everything, but not a big deal, I suppose. And of course, the seats are also very well done. Nice texture on them. They have kind of two different textures. You have kind of the rougher texture going on with the inserts and kind of the leather pattern going on with the other portions of the seats. And even the back seat is pretty well done as well. Kind of has that odd slope to it, which I always kind of liked about the back seats of the Mach 1s. Maisto does kind of nail the overall look of those as well. And the seats are very sturdy, so they're not going to be coming out or anything. If this were an older model, they would probably be kind of folding and like adjustable, but I'm kind of glad that Maisto did away with that because those seats were kind of prone to just warping and breaking and stuff. So overall, I think this is a pretty good interior. Definitely could use some more fine detailing as far as the center stack and center buttons go. And the gauge cluster detailing is interesting, I guess, but I think it would have been better if they just went with the stickers that they usually go with. I do like how they don't do just one single sticker. It is actually a molded in plastic piece, which is a cool touch. And the rearview mirror is actually well done too. You have kind of the black plastic, and then you have the mirror sticker in the front there. Just be careful with the mirror sticker falling off though. You may have to kind of push it in if yours comes popped out like mine does. And then of course with the undercarriage, decent detailing. The exhaust system is done in all chrome, which is typical for Maisto models, but you do have some three-dimensional detailing back here in between the wheels, which is cool to see. And you do kind of see the suspension springs that Maisto adds to this model. Cool touch. And you do see some of the engine detailing and also the working steering system down here too, which is also very cool to see. So if you're looking for a budget version of the original Mach 1 to add to your diecast collection, I think this is an excellent model. And I think Maisto overall did a great job with its details, its shape, and just its overall look, and I guess some shelf presence too. Some more fine details definitely would have been welcome, but I think what we have here is a very good representation of the Mustang Mach 1 from 1970 that you can get for a pretty good price. So if you collect like models of Mustangs or just muscle cars in general, this would be a great addition to your collection. As always, hope this video was helpful, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And feel free to comment down below with your thoughts on the model here as well. Thanks for watching.